No, today we're going to try to revisit some of the lesser known cartoon themes. Tunes that maybe weren't memorized by every single 80s kid, but tunes that still transport you back to a simpler place in time. Hey everyone, my name is Perry, and welcome back to the Cassette Phase. So I hope that you're all doing well. I know that it's been relatively quiet here on the channel over the past week or so I apologize. Just been super busy with real life, as I'm sure you can understand. But we're putting all of that on pause for just a few minutes today because I think we have a really fun video planned. And first, I'm going to just quickly share some footage from our recent trip down to Canton, Texas for one of the biggest flea markets / swap meets in the entire country. And while we were down there, we ate at a restaurant that is very much frozen in time. And I got some footage there too, which I will share with you all. But the main topic of today's video is going to be 5 cartoon theme songs that you may have forgotten about, that bring those nostalgic feels in the best possible way. And it kind of goes without saying at this point, but these cartoon theme songs are going to come from the 80s and the very early 90s. And we can't forget about today's time capsule, so we'll do that too. But today is really just going to be about taking a break from our busy lives to revisit where we came from. Reacquaint ourselves with the inner child, even if it's just for a few minutes. Sound like fun to you? Come hang out. Okay everyone, welcome back to the Ottoman, and welcome to another great day here in the den. For today's background noise, we've got Big going over on the CRT. One of my all-time favorite movies, and it's hard to say this because there's just so many great ones, but one of Tom Hanks's best roles, in my opinion. Love Big. It's probably one of the movies that I've seen most, probably top 5 most viewed movies ever in my life, so love that one. So for today's time capsule, I want to talk about an item, an object. I actually have 3 different ones here that I feel like is kind of a lost art form on today's kids, and I think that's for a few different reasons. Think back to your own childhood and when you were earning allowance or somebody was giving you money to go buy a soda or go buy some gum. Did we not always have change as kids? Pockets full of quarters and dimes and nickels and even pennies. That we could go up to the convenience store and buy some now and laters or some candy cigarettes or whatever the case may be. And not even to mention arcades, right? Arcade games. Change was a big part of our lives as kids. I think about the jukebox at Pizza Hut. If I wanted to hear Sweet Child of Mine or Welcome to the Jungle, I had to have some quarters to put into the jukebox while we're eating our pizza. And for that reason, we had to have ways to store our change. And I think that's why back in the 80s and even into the 90s, a really common gift idea for kids our age was a piggy bank. And there were all kinds of cool banks back then. Like every pop culture property that you could think of pretty much had a piggy bank. So I've got 3 of them here that I want to show you today, starting with one from Pound Puppies. And not necessarily from the cartoon, I think just kind of from the toy line. This is just kind of like a generic Pound Puppy. But I love this thing. I've had it out on the shelf in various spots for years. Tonka. Is that 1985, 86, something like that. It's hard for me to see through the camera phone, but yeah, just a really cool item. And I was a big fan of Pound Puppies. You know, I've got one sitting on the back of the couch to this day, my one from childhood. It's got his collar and everything. Yeah, good cartoon. I had some color forms as a kid from the Pound Puppies, so I like this guy. I think it looks cool on a shelf. Let's go on to the next one. You guys know I'm a fan of The Simpsons. Big Simpsons fan. So we've got this Bart Simpson piggy bank here. And this one's a little bit worn out, but that's to be expected given the age. I think this is 1990. Yeah, it's all marked up, but still looks cool. It's been on the shelf, it's been in the garage, it's now proudly displayed in the walk-in toy box. Yeah, and just another cool way to hold your change. And they all have these stoppers on the bottom, you know. If I can get to focus there. And a lot of times when you find these old banks, sometimes the stopper is missing. But luckily, all three of these that I have are intact. And this one is in pretty bad shape. It's a little bit scary looking. My son has even told me whenever this thing shows up in a video, he's like, "You got that creepy Bart Simpson in the video, and it was distracting the whole time." I'm like, well, that's good to know. So let's put him to the side and look at one more, and then that'll be it for today's time capsule. And no surprise here, we've got a California Raisins piggy bank. And this is probably my favorite out of the three. I think the orange sunglasses version of that California Raisin is like the iconic one. It makes me think of Hardee's restaurants. It makes me think of my pillowcases that I have where all the California Raisins are lined up in a line. And the one in front has on the orange sneakers and the orange sunglasses there. So one of my favorites for sure. And of course we've got, this is basically an advertisement for sun-made California sun-dried raisins. Stopper intact. Box is a little worn out. You know, it's got this label on it that's kind of peeling off a little bit, but still really cool. Yeah, happy to have that one. So let's pull them all back over really quick. So if you're looking for usually pretty inexpensive ways to add little pops of pop culture nostalgia to your room, to your shelf, to your desk, whatever, these banks make really cool display pieces. And like I said, they make them in just about everybody you can think of. There's some old Hanna-Barbera ones that I'm constantly looking out for, like Huckleberry Hound and Yogi Bear. I'm a big Hanna-Barbera fan, so I'm always watching for those. But yeah, they're eye-catching. You know, they're pretty good size. Look great on a shelf, and like I said, they're usually not too expensive. So let me know, did you guys have a bank sitting on your dresser as a kid, on your shelf? Like I said, I didn't have any of these. My actual piggy bank that I used was a little yellow safe. You know, it had a little combination lock on it. It was like a little yellow metal safe. If I can find a picture of it, I'll put it in here. But yeah, I just remember clearly. It was yellow, it had a red dial, and that's where I learned how to do a combination lock. You know, long before ever having a locker at school, I learned how to do that through my piggy bank at home, and that's the one that I had. So yeah, let me know what kind of piggy bank you guys had. Did anyone have those little plastic keychains that you would kind of, you pry them open and you pry the little opening and you can put the change in and then pull the change back out and then, you know, put it back in your pocket and ride your bike and kind of protects it and keeps it all together. Did anybody have any of those? Those were pretty cool. Yeah, just lots of good memories of piggy banks in general. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but like I said, I want to share just a little bit of footage from our recent trip down to First Monday Trade Days in Canton, Texas. And I didn't really pick anything up myself this time around, but we got the kids some things, then we saw some really cool stuff while we were there, which you'll see. And what has kind of become a tradition for our family, anytime we're down there, we have to stop and eat at a little restaurant called Dairy Palace. And this is one of those places that looks like it hasn't really been updated much at all since it opened. And this place opened in 1984, so you know that I love that. And because this place is about 2 hours away, it involves a family road trip each time we go. And if you've watched this channel for a while, you know that I like road trips and all of the memories made along the way. So before we dive into the cartoons, let's take a quick look at our adventures in Canton, Texas. So we're talking about cartoons today. You know, those Saturday morning and after school adventures that shaped us as kids. We wanted the action figures. We wanted the cereal. And if you're anything like me, you didn't want to miss the theme song. That was all part of the experience. Now, as adults, it can be difficult to sit down and watch a full episode of your favorite childhood cartoon. Can it be done? Sure, trust me, I've done it. But sometimes all you need is that familiar imagery and that catchy music from the theme song to give you a little boost of nostalgia. And of course, some of the cartoon theme songs from the 80s and 90s were just so iconic that you were able to sing them on the playground at your elementary school word for word. And I bet if someone were to challenge you, you'd still be able to sing them as an adult, word for word. I'm thinking of DuckTales and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and the real Ghostbusters and the Adventures of the Gummy Bears and Transformers and Care Bears. Who doesn't remember the Care Bear Countdown?
If you can dream, just send a wish out in the dark and do that Care Bears countdown.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
But those aren't the types of theme songs that we're going to be focusing on today. No, today we're going to try to revisit some of the lesser known cartoon themes. You know, tunes that maybe weren't memorized by every single 80s kid, but tunes that still transport you back to a simpler place in time. Now, in all fairness, many of you are subscribed to this 80s and 90s retro nostalgia YouTube channel. Now, not all of you who are watching are subscribed, so if you haven't joined our fun little community yet, please go ahead and do so. But many of you are subscribed. And chances are you are also subscribed to other retro 80s and 90s channels, and therefore you might be a little bit more in tune with your childhood nostalgia than others, which is great. So you all will likely be at least a little bit familiar with most of these. But even so, it's always fun to take a musical trip down memory lane. And in true Cassette Phase fashion, I'm going to try to add in some clips and mix in some footage to hopefully enhance the memories for you, make them feel meaningful. And the reason we're only doing 5 today is so that we can do this again soon with 5 more selections. With all of that said, let's get started. Now, these are in no particular order, and one of them is actually super short, so I'll probably include it as like a bonus honorable mention, so we'll actually do 6 today, I guess. But to start off with, I want to listen to a cartoon theme song that I promise you, if it had different lyrics, it could have been a radio hit back in the 80s. And this was a cartoon that I didn't watch a ton as a kid, but I always enjoyed it when it came on. Really cool toy line too. So let's listen to a theme song that sounds like an 80s rock anthem. Let's listen to Mask.
Masked crusaders working overtime, fighting crime. Secret raiders who will neutralize soon as they arrive. The soundtrack is gonna lead the mission, and Spectrum's got such supervision. Masked is the mighty power that can save the day. No one knows what lies behind their mad charades. Always riding hard on Venom's trail. Come see the laser rays. Find a way.
Just classic stuff right there. So for the next one, we're gonna go with something wholesome, like over the top wholesome, but I love it just the same. And I can't hear this one without instantly being transported back to summer days, home from school, sitting on the carpet enjoying some classic Nickelodeon. Let's visit the world of David the Gnome. Yeah, that might be my favorite cartoon theme song ever. I don't know, it's definitely up there. Let's keep going. For this next one, we're going with a cartoon that just perfectly captures the feel of a late 80s Saturday morning. You know, BMX bikes and skateboards and super catchy rock music, and of course, a big tall teal dinosaur wearing hot pink shades. He's your friend and a whole lot more.
One, two, three, four. The last dinosaur. He's my friend and a whole lot more. The last dinosaur shows me a world I never saw before. From the hot jungle a long time ago comes a cool friend, my pal Dino. The last dinosaur. He's my friend and a whole lot more. The last dinosaur shows me a world I never saw before. Everywhere we go, we don't really care if people stop and stare at our pal Dino. From prehistory through the rock and roll spotlight, we found a friend who helps us make it through alright. That's Dino, the last dinosaur. He's my friend and a whole lot more. Denver, the last dinosaur, shows me a world I never saw.
So, as many of you know, the early to mid 80s were full of classic arcade games that had been converted to cartoons, and a lot of them had really amazing theme songs. And this one is no exception. And this is another example of a song where if you changed the lyrics and changed the subject matter, of course, you could have a full-fledged radio hit on your hands. So be sure to crank up the volume on this one. We've got Pole Position.
From now on, like your parents were, you are the secret force of pole position.
They're moving real fast, they're the only ones who
Let's
can
go,
get there
Dan.
on time.
Okay, sis.
And never too far behind, they are always fighting crime.
Stop time,
Undercover and
Ready when you are,
facing
Rhodey.
adventure in the danger zone. Pretty soon they'll be off on a mission.
Hydrofoil mode, Rhodey.
Hydrofoil engaged, Dan.
What's behind
Wheels, hovercraft, quick!
What's behind this control? Only there are the knows. Sit back and watch them go. Help, 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 help.
How fun was that one, honestly? So good. So that's 4 down, so let's go ahead and round this out. But before we listen to our last theme song on the list, let's go ahead and throw in a bonus, like an honorable mention. And this one is pretty short, but I have great, albeit fuzzy memories of hearing this song from the other room in between some of my favorite cartoons. Does anyone else remember Banana Man?
This is 29 Acacia Road, and this is Eric, the schoolboy who leads an amazing double life. But when Eric eats a banana, an amazing transformation occurs. Eric is Banana Man, ever alert for the call to action.
Wow, what a blast from the past that one was. And hopefully this last one feels like that too. And this cartoon was one where I knew about the toys before I knew about the show. And it was short-lived, but it had a great, simple, catchy, innocent-sounding theme song. We are not too cool around here to reflect back on the Popples. And there we are. So I hope that you all enjoyed our little musical trip back to early childhood. And if you did, consider subscribing if you're new around here. Also, don't forget to like the video, but only if you actually liked the video. But for now, and as always, relax. Enjoy life and be kind. We'll see you in the next one.